Well, she is back in studio. Leigh Stocker from Summercrest. How are you?
Never been better.
Really? Good to know. Good to know. Haven't seen you in a little bit.
No,
How are
I was
things?
supposed to be here 2 weeks ago,
You
but
were.
the Sunday before, I must have been just freaking out about getting on the radio. So I had a stroke to get out of it.
Yes.
So I went to the hospital and then it was
Wait.
What?
Let's slow that down. Because you just dropped a major thing.
Just drop a bomb, yeah.
You had a stroke.
I did at 21 years old. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it. So 2 weeks ago, you were supposed to be in here on Monday.
I was.
I get a text that the day before from your husband, Brandon, and he's like, "Hey, just to let you know, Leigh won't be in tomorrow." Okay, that's fine. Usually he's not like texting me about.
Usually he's not being my secretary.
No, your personal assistant or something. And he's like, Leigh just had a stroke. Oh.
Yeah,
oh man.
Right? Exactly.
So what happened?
Well, I woke up Sunday morning. I was in the shower. We recently redid our bathroom, so our shower is like all one piece, and it's got a little shower seat in it, which I wanted because when I get old, I want a seat in my shower, so it's all built in.
Sure.
Plus, it's helpful. I sit down on it and I wash my feet. So, anyways, this is what I think happened. I am not 100% sure, but as my brain has been putting pieces of it back together, this is what I've come up with, is that I sat down to wash my feet, and that must be like when when I had the stroke, when it happened, because the next thing I knew, I was like on the floor in the shower.
So you fell, or?
I think I just slid off the seat, but I couldn't get up. And, and I've had this pain in my neck for a few months. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And that's on my right side, which is my dominant side. So I tried like pulling myself up with my right arm and hand, and I remember the pain in my neck and thinking, I can't do this because it hurts. So I tried to lift myself up with anyways, I couldn't get up for a while. It seemed like a really long time. But finally I got out of the shower. I don't really know how. And I was stumbling around. I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to fall into the shower doors and break them. That was my thought. So I just stumbled out to the living room, and then I was like, I'm going to fall into that glass case there and break that. And like, so these are the thoughts in my, in my head. But then Brandon heard me stumbling around, so he came downstairs and he took like one look at me. He goes, Leigh, I think you're having a stroke. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I'm going to go take a nap. But apparently, like my face, like all of it from like my nose down had lost like all affect. Like there was like, it was droopy. And I remember trying to drink my coffee, and that kind of fell out the side of my mouth.
Really? Okay.
My words were slurred, according to Brandon, that I didn't really recognize. It sounded to me like I was, talking fine. I was trying to log on to my computer because I had something to do. I couldn't remember my password, which is like super unlike me. Apparently getting dressed was not normal. Mm-hmm. Anyways, long story short, Brandon got me to the hospital, took me to New London Hospital. And I would say we were probably there from, I'm guessing, the time that like maybe the symptoms onset until we got to New London Hospital was maybe an hour and a half. And they say, your window is like 3 hours from the onset of your first symptoms, before, so that they can hopefully reverse it and that there's no permanent damage.
Right.
So I got to the hospital. Apparently I did have a stroke, which he was pretty sure about. So I stayed the night in the emergency room at New London because there was no beds in med-surg. And then they transferred me on the Monday to Portsmouth to the stroke center there. So I spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday there.
So what's the stroke center? I know nothing
They
about
just
this.
have specialized neurologists there that they don't have at New London Hospital or Valley Regional. I mean, they may have people from Dartmouth and stuff that come and go on a scheduled basis, but they have a neurology team. And it's interesting because when I was in the hospital at Portsmouth, they didn't have a room either. They put me in the emergency department. I was on my bed in the hallway for like all of Monday night, and then most of Tuesday.
You sat in the hallway that long?
Yeah. Well, I didn't sit. I had this cushy hospital bed.
Right.
But yeah, because there was no rooms. And this was finally my like, wow, this is really crazy. And I mean, I've been hearing all this time about how the hospitals are just overrun, and and I saw it firsthand because here I am just after a stroke sitting in the hallway because there was no rooms. So anyhow, that's happened, and that was fine, except for I was scared to death at night. I was like, oh my God, look at that guy, he's super drunk. I am sitting in the hallway. What, what happens if he freaks out? I'm like, So
when you should really be resting.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they were good to me. They gave me Valium, so I did get some rest. But, and it was kind of actually interesting because they wanted to do an angiogram, which is part of the reason I think I had to sit in the hallway, because they didn't have the proper staff there to monitor the angiogram after the fact if anything went wrong. So basically, I don't know how the heck they do it. They just go into your femoral, which I can't say that word, femoral artery, and stick a scope or a catheter sort of thing all the way up through your body and into your brain. So technically, if they did that and something happened, I could, without the proper medical attention, you can die in a few minutes if your femoral artery kind of ruptures or anything. So that's part of the reason I had to wait and stay in the emergency room. It's a whole big mess, but it was basically, I think, overall, because the hospitals are definitely like overrun with people. Not enough beds, not enough staff, and so it was really like an eye opener for sure.
Crazy.
But yeah, so I mean, all in all, we're still waiting on results. They did a bunch of blood work before I left Portsmouth on Wednesday, so we're waiting for that back. And we'll see. There's really no definitive reason that they have right now as to why it happened. So it just happened, and I need to be a little bit more careful about the things I choose to do and what I'm aware of. And yeah, I feel good. As I was mentioning off air, I'm like, oh, a brand new day. This is exciting. Right. Could have totally been a different story.
Right.
So
that's insane, though.
I know.
So. And your husband's an EMT and trained at this stuff.
Thank God.
For real.
Absolutely.
Because your natural reaction was to just go to sleep.
Yeah, I was like, I must need some more sleep.
So what could have happened if you just went to sleep for a couple hours?
Well, I could have not waken up, I suppose. So, or the other thing is, say, hypothetically, if I was driving, and that happened, who knows? Like, so there's all sorts of scary things that could have happened, and thank God in my situation, like given the circumstance and the event, I don't think it could have turned out any better. So I was at home, my husband's an EMT, he knew exactly what he was doing, and got me to the hospital, so it really, in the grand scheme of things, nobody wants to have a stroke, I guess, but if you have to have one, do it the way I did it. So what was I thinking of? Oh yeah, so I mentioned also off air, which is what I'm still concerned about, is there are 2 blood clots in my head. One of them is where the recent stroke was. Okay. The other one apparently has been there for a little while. Wow. And so it's quite possible that I could have had a stroke in the past and not known it. Really? Yep. So I guess you can see this on the MRI or the MNR or whatever. It's CT scan, all this stuff they did. You can see the blood clot, and then it has created its own little kind of vascular system around it. So the blood is getting where it needs to go, but it takes some time for your body to be able to do that. So if it wasn't already there for a while, we wouldn't have seen that kind of vascular system around it. So I'm really interested to find out more, because literally I know nothing. Right.
Because the idea of having a blood clot, so you have 2 blood clots in you right now. That could let loose at any time and kill you.
Yeah, I guess so. So we're hoping to prevent that. Yeah. I'm on they started me on a low dose aspirin, which I think like half of the world is probably on, but also a anti-statin or something like that. That's supposed to help control strokes, blood clots, from happening. So yeah, I mean, they say, I guess, as far as all of the people who have strokes every year, like, I wish I remembered the statistics. That's part of my problem. I don't remember things right now very well. But, 1 in 4 maybe have another stroke within 90 days, something like that. And, so this is called a TIA, which is the other kind of street word for it is mini stroke, which I think is kind of stupid because that makes it sound like it's no big deal.
Right.
Oh, you had a mini stroke. Oh, no big deal. You didn't have the big one. But it is definitely kind of what they consider a warning.
Okay.
So, I guess.
But it's weird because, like, I don't find you particularly unhealthy.
No, I'm not. Like, I do not have anything wrong with me.
Out of any of the guests that come in here, with the exception of PJ, like you and PJ are like the 2 healthy ones.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and which is like crazy. I would say,
and Chief will want to.
That's why. Yeah, fine.
Because he runs like forever, but
yeah, I don't do that.
Okay, so Kevin O'Neill isn't like the healthiest.
Oh, by the way, thank you for bringing up Kevin's name. Kevin was absolutely lovely. Like, while I was in the hospital, we had actually rented a dumpster because our plan was to clean out the basement. Well, surprise, that has been put on hold. But, so the dumpster was at the house, and Brandon called him or texted him to kind of let him know that, sorry, I'm going to have the dumpster a little bit longer than expected. And he came over and he plowed the driveway and he sanded. And so thank you, Kevin. It was just, those little things that, no, I mean, it's not a little thing. It's a big thing. It's one less thing that Brandon had to worry about. But those things are extremely helpful.
Yes.
So it's really appreciated.
And I know you appreciated everything I did for you.
Yes. Thank you for leaving me alone. It's very funny. I actually do appreciate that. I mean, I definitely appreciate, if people reached out, but I also understand people for not. I mean, you just don't know what to do, what to say. Is it, you hadn't seen me or talked to me, so you had no idea what to expect.
I'm thinking like droopy face Leigh and, slurring all over the place and stumbling, bumbling. I'm like, oh, geez.
Yeah, that was that Sunday morning, but everything's pretty much cleared up. But yeah, and it's scary. I mean, it's like when somebody dies, like, it's so awkward to say, I'm so sorry for your loss, Yeah. I mean, you have to because, but it's just really weird. You just don't know how people are going to react. And
I don't know who this is. This might be for you. Good morning, WCNL. You're on the air.
Oh, hey, it's if you could just give me a call. It's Bethany.
Oh.
Next chance you get, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Bethany.
I don't know what's going on. Probably something with Harper.
Well, that's okay. What time is it?
It's 9, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, you may have to go.
I saw that she called my phone. She didn't leave a message, so I don't know if something's going on with Harper. But
that's very important stuff. So, but anyways, overall, I'm good. I really feel like I have a really healthy outlook on life.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like, this is what it's like to enjoy stuff. When the possibilities taken away, it really changes, I guess. And I'm sure everybody who's had a major health event happen has thought that way. So. Oh no,
I just got a text from Beth.
Okay.
Harper just broke her arm.
No. Okay, so signing off. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Man, okay, we should get going.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're good?
I'm good. Now you crazy worried dad. I can see the look on your face just.
Yep.
So
I guess the school just called and said she may have a small fracture in her arm.
Well, that's still.
How did that happen? It's 9:00. She doesn't have like recess yet.
Happy Monday.
I know, right? I know. So I'm glad you're good.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
You look good. You look fine. I would have no idea that you've got these things stuck inside your brain,
but I'll be fine. It's very fortunate that everything happened the way it did, and that we can now monitor it, and hopefully I don't have the big one.
Yes, so, I agree.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Take care.
We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
It's Leigh Stocker from Summercrest. We did nothing about Summercrest today, but 863-8181 if you want to call and talk to Leigh or send her an email, or just email lstocker@summercrest.net and say, Leigh, I'm glad you're better. Does that sound good?
Very good.
Okay, there you go.